Hi guys, welcome to our next video here on our Money Matters series with Minnequa Works. We're excited to have you here as we continue to dive in. Again, I'm Nate here with Minnequa Works. I'm the CEO, and I'm excited to be joined today by Laura. Remember her from our past episodes, and our new guest here today, Pauline. So can you guys tell everybody a little bit about what you do here at the credit union?
I'm Laura, and I oversee BSA for the credit union, and that includes fraud, making sure that paperwork that's required by the government or the state or Minnequa Works is being followed.
Right.
And I'm Pauline Montoya, and I work with member services. I'm the VP of member services and card services, and I deal a lot with disputes and just the fraud that happens on accounts. And of course, Laura also deals a lot with that as a big help to me in the fraud department.
Very awesome. Well, thank you for your teamwork and for support for all that you do here at Minnequa Works. We're excited to dive into our next episode here. And Laura, I know we've talked a little bit about fraud the last couple Money Matters. What are we going to be diving into today?
Today we're going to go over the type of fraud that exists on account fraud, debit and credit card fraud, and we're also going to be discussing what can be considered not fraud. So Pauline will clarify some of that for us through this discussion to help us understand how we can protect our money.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to learning more.
Mm-hmm.
Let's rock. Very cool.
All right. So I know something that we want to definitely convey is, the fraud that we are seeing at this time. Unfortunately, these things change, and you kind of have to stay up with what's happening now. And so some of the things we see now are people are getting an email or a text message or a phone call. Sometimes even that phone call might even have our number on the caller ID. And unfortunately, they are the bad guys. And they're good at what they do. They know how to word maybe an email to make you think, I got to jump on this right away. Lots of times they'll put a high dollar amount. You have this transaction for this amount, is it yours? And they want you to then say, oh no, it's not mine. They want you to communicate with them. And then guess what? All they had was your email or your phone number before that. And then when you respond is how they get that information, because then they're going to ask you, well, what's that card number so we can get this canceled, So I definitely recommend you get anything like that. Please don't hesitate to call us. Hang up, even if it's a phone call. Hang up and call us directly, because then you're talking to someone at the credit union, and we can definitely verify if it really is a legitimate charge on your card or if it's someone who's trying to impersonate us. So that's one, being cautious of that. Another trend we're seeing, people are getting this a lot. It's some type of message about something you can win, a TV, enter the sweepstakes, and it's this real low dollar amount. But then after the members, agree to it, then they're seeing charges on their card. And some of them are, close to $200, several charges in a short amount of time, and all for a chance to win. And I've called those companies and tried to ask, well, what are they getting for this money you're charging them? They says, oh, they got a chance to win, which really, I just hate that there's not even anything I can do about it for them at that point. So those are some examples of what I've seen here recently. Other things, and there's definitely several that as times change, you might get an email that's from Amazon. You might get something that says you owe a little bit more for a package. And this time of year, that's possibly, you send out enough of those emails, it's going to apply to someone. Again, don't respond unless you're going directly through your app or contacting that merchant yourself. So that's something to do. Another thing that, as far as online goes, sometimes people are talking to folks that they are befriending them, maybe even, trying to get them to send them money or what have you, and say, even as far as a lonely heart scam, where they're trying to, over a time period, say that they have this relationship, and eventually they kind of could lead to them wanting to go to online banking and be on that with you. And if you are getting giving anyone your information, like secure access code, the things that we have in place to protect you, no one should be asking you for that info. So these folks are actually getting around the security, and then they're either getting to your bill pay or they're transferring money within the account, and then they say, oh, you need to send me that amount that was transferred. I accidentally gave that to you. I mean, they're really kind of deceiving, and good at what they do.
So I had a question. Yeah, I had a question. So Miniqua Works, we will not ask them for personal info, correct? When it's fraud, that person is going to be wanting card numbers, PIN numbers, account numbers.
Oh, that's a good question.
If it's Miniqua Works Credit Union, the actual credit union, well, what kind of information are we going to want from our member?
So that's a good question because, when we have the account up, or even the people that are working with us that protect from fraud, they have your information, but they might need to make sure that it's you as far as what's the last four of the card, or give you the information of here's the transaction we're seeing. Did you make this transaction? They should not be asking you for, like you said, personal information. So that's a good point to make. If you're calling us, we're going to need to verify it's you and ask some things, but otherwise, be very careful if you're just getting a random call and they're asking things like that. Good point.
Okay, and one other question I had is, when they're giving the secure code for online banking, is Miniqua Works able to see that really isn't our member? How does it work with whether it's the computer of access through the computer, or when they're accessing it from another computer in California or somewhere? How does that hinder Miniqua Works from helping our member by sharing those type of things?
So when we set up an account, we get your email, we get your phone number, and as you start to use those services, well, we want to make sure it's you using those services. So that secure access code is going to go to the phone number we have for you, and so the way these people try to get around that then is they'll let that code go to you, but then they say, well, what's the code they just sent you? I've even seen a message on Facebook asking me for a code. I don't even know this person, and I was surely not going to give it to them. But that's how they're going around that, because then it doesn't matter, that it's a phone number, that they're in New York or what have you. If we just gave them that code, then they can go in, they can say, hey, you can trust my device, and you just opened up access to someone that you didn't intend to. So never ever give that out. And also important thing to keep your information with us up to date, so that we can contact you when there is something.
Okay. All right.
And another scam that I forgot to mention is, sometimes we've even had people receive a call and they say they're their grandkid, and that their grandkid is being held or in trouble or what have you. And luckily that hasn't, really transpired into anything, but that's how low they will go, as to try to scare you into thinking your family member's in trouble.
Okay.
And I think another one that we discussed that's definitely something I want to share is, sometimes you really have to be careful with the ads. We're all online a lot more now. You'll just be on Facebook and something pops up, some type of ad, and if you go do those things, you might be getting a big red flash of, it's only $1.99, free trial period or whatever, $5.99. So folks will see that and think, well, I'm going to give it a try. And then they give them the information. Well, that free trial period means you've got a limited amount of time for you to get this product. And sometimes it's even just an app, you're not even getting a product, to try it out. And if you don't cancel within this 3 days, 4 days, 7 days, whatever, then you're going to get hit with the full price. And lots of times, that's a good amount of money. So that really makes it hard for us when there's something like that happens, because we can't say that's not authorized. It's authorized. And when you make that purchase, it's in their terms and conditions. You'll click on a button, I agree, and therefore it's legitimate. It's authorized, I should say.
Now, I have a question on, so on something like that, is it something that happens maybe because they have their card saved on the device where it's easier, or is this somebody that's having to physically put in the card numbers when we're seeing those free trials and subscriptions that turn out to be, what the member considers fraud?
I think it could be either one.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it could be either one. And lots of times you're buying one thing, and then before you're done, it popped up and asked you if you wanted to try this, and maybe you agreed to about 4 things. Yeah. So I think it's that simple. And I'm glad you asked that, because it did actually remind me that I have even seen where I'll have someone say, I have these charges that I didn't authorize, but then kind of in conversation they might mention how, well, they let a family member use a card, the granddaughter or whoever, someone that lives with them. Well, once that's done, you basically made that person authorized. And I think one thing we have to realize is, once they hand you back that card, that doesn't mean they don't have access to your information anymore. If they did anything in their phone, it's probably saved. It's a quick picture of the front and back, and they can go online and continue to shop even though you have the card back in your wallet. So that's something to keep in mind, that you shouldn't be sharing that with anybody. When we issue a card, that's to be held in your possession. No one else should know your PIN number. And as soon as it's out of your possession, you shut it down. You can shut it down online. You can call us. We have a 24-hour number. When we're not here, you can call. I mean, that's definitely something you want to get done right away if you don't have that card.
Okay. And the member can call to find out how they can shut their card on and off on our website?
Yes, absolutely, because that's a real good feature we have. You go right on online banking. People can even just use that to help themselves. Like, I had someone who he wants to be sure that his money's protected, and he kind of is taking it to the extreme that he's gonna open it when he wants to use it, and when he's not using it, he's just gonna do what he needs. And so that's neat that that's at your fingertips, that type of control.
Good. I definitely think that's a nice feature for our online banking to use. Even if it's just lost in your car or lost in your sofa, just to know that you can shut it down until you do locate it.
Right.
It's a really good feature for our online banking.
It is, So any time of day, you get right in there and get it taken care of. Anything else?
So, you had kind of talked a little bit about the too good to be true offers, right? And like the little try before you buy type things and things like that. So it's we're getting ready to come onto the holiday season right now, right? So a lot of different purchasing, a lot of different promotions out there. Any other kind of like best practices or tips that you would recommend going into like this holiday season that we're getting ready to come into for purchasing, and just kind of helping to best practices of keeping safe, either making purchases online or using the card?
I do recommend, when you can, if you can use like a PayPal service, something like that, that's going to protect that info. So what does that mean? It means that you're not giving that particular merchant the actual card info. PayPal has it, PayPal's secure, so that information is not going out to maybe merchants that we don't know much about, so that's one way. Also, just be careful of, like I say, as you're scrolling, things that just pop in. I don't necessarily trust what just pops up. Whereas if you're going to Amazon's website, you're shopping with Amazon. You go to Best Buy's website, that that's going to be legitimate. And so I definitely would recommend being careful with things that you just see, and especially if it's too good to be true, it kind of reminds me too of, I was just friending someone on Facebook, and the next message I got was how she only had 2 puppies left, and hurry up and get your deposit to me. I had nothing to do with these puppies, but I was thinking about how that reminded me that I've seen that before. People want this, and don't use Facebook to buy, there's certain things you want to do as far as using services that send money to a family member, but don't use it for making payments and buying products, because there's really no guarantee you're going to get what you're ordering.
So with that, like not a guarantee with what you're ordering. Like if I ordered something off at Amazon or Target, whatever it might be, and boy, we're getting some applause here from the side. If they order it and it's not what I wanted or not what I intended, things like that, is that something I can come to the credit union for and file like a fraud dispute, or what do I need to do if I didn't get my order right from a merchant?
So when it comes to that, we can help you with that. So, you know, when there's a legitimate charge and you paid for this item, as a matter of fact, I just did one today. And when they got the product, it wasn't working. So we went in and we did the dispute, but there's some work he had to do before that. For example, sending it back, having proof of that. And of course, I worked with him on that. But so you do have rights. You have rights when it comes to when you purchase something, and us being able to, you know, help you in that manner.
Mm-hmm. But does that mean the credit union's going to give back like money to my account, or what happens in that type of a situation?
So in that type of situation, we do what's called a chargeback, and basically we get the paperwork we need and we report the transaction to for a chargeback, which means we are disputing the charge and we're asking for those funds back. So that can take a while. That can take up to 45 days for that merchant response. So we do credit the account in that case right away. And then we may have some follow-up where maybe they needed something else, or maybe they'll credit us later, or even credit you. And then of course we would take ours back. So it's just the way that when it's, you know, merchants need to do what they're supposed to also. And in a case like that, we can step in and help you get your money back.
Okay. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Anything else for us today, Laura?
No, I think what we had discussed earlier is, you know, the debit card. It's not green like money, but it's your money,
Mm-hmm.
and you know you have to look at that. Are you going to leave $100 bills laying around, letting anybody access? You know, if the debit card is that $100, it's just in a different form, but it is your money on that card.
Good.
So I think that's one thing to just try to keep the member or remembering, you know.
Yeah,
Definitely.
exactly.
You know, to safeguard that cash or the debit card, right? Awesome. Well, I appreciate the job that you guys do here at the credit union. Thank you for helping to safeguard our members. Thank you for helping to educate our team and our members. And thank you guys so much for joining this latest episode of Money Matters. We recommend that you subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. Watch out for more information coming up on social media. And we're excited to be able to continue to share knowledge to support you and provide those services. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Bye, folks.
Bye, guys.